Hello everyone, this is Visual Novel Gamer here, and I am back with Katawa Shoujo. Last time we just started and don't know what route we're on now. Last time we just started to get to a new route, but let's continue. So, tell me how things are. Things. I expect Muto to be a little vague, but this is pushing its limits. You know things. You had a week to settle in now, so how are things? Fine, I guess. I see. And how is your condition? The pause before condition seems a little unnecessary. I haven't had any problems so far. A brief simmer of relief passes across Muto's face. Good, that's good. The school nurse was a little concerned that you may have been pushing yourself a bit too hard. He asked me to keep an eye on you when he couldn't. That makes sense. I ask that you don't blow us off so freely, as much as we try to give you the level of education that you would get at a normal school. You have to realize that you have limits. Our goal is to make sure that you know where those limits are and how to maximize your potential within them. Do you follow me? Guess. I don't plan on doing anything stupid. Well, that's a start, I guess. So then, on to my next question. I read that. Definitely read that before. But when but why would Lily leave her to her own devices? It seems to be quite out of the ordinary going by Hanako's reaction. Dot dot dot. Ah, that's right. I think Lily mentioned something about going to town before Rin bumped into us. The thought of that walk makes me look outside. The bright sky and occasional people wandering around and enjoying the afternoon make me yearn to go out of school, or at least do something out other than sit here. Giving into one of my worst vices, provocations, I decided that history is a subject best studied on a Sunday, or a Monday, or on any other day than this. I give a grumble as I lever myself out of my seat, briefly debating with myself whether or not to hang out with Kenji. He doesn't strike me as the enjoying the nice weather outside with others kind of person. Really, I guess I could catch up with him later. Changing tracks, I briefly entertained the idea of talking with Hanako, but by the time I look at her seat, it's vacant. She must have left for the library. There's got to be something to do that could kill the time. Save. Let's go to the library. Let's go talk to Hanako. Wasn't any of her really in Emmy's route, so the library seems as good as a place to go as any to go. Hanako looked as if she was taken pretty off guard by Lily leaving, so she might want someone to talk to. Sliding my bag over my shoulder, I make my way out of the classroom. I walk down the hallway to the library, past a multiple of closed doors. Through each one, the sounds of furious rehearsals can be heard. Rock music blares out of one door, almost as loud as a concert. I guess that's one advantage of a private school. There are actually enough rooms to go around at a time like this. And when I think about it, the grounds and buildings of the school are kept in pretty good condition. That can't be too cheap. I heard that this place has some pretty serious benefactors. The walls of the library only partially insulated the noise of the festival preparations, but they're the only sound to be heard. Not a soul stirs here, with everyone apparently enjoying the weather outside or working on festival events. Yuko isn't here either. Maybe she doesn't work on Saturdays. I quietly walk through the library, now fairly familiar with its layout. I head to the back where Hanako's private little corner is. I ran my head along the spines of the books on the way, though feeling the individual texture of each as I glance across the titles. I used to do this all the time at the library at the hospital. Some things never change, I guess. like the smell of a library. No matter how much you take care of, no matter how much care you take, the paper in the books is always going to degrade with time. Probably no matter which library you go into, anywhere in the world, it must have the same musty smell. I find something that looks light enough to read without any major thought involved. Then look for Hanako in the reading area. Once again, she's sitting on a beanbag with her back to a bookshelf, reading the same book she had in the class. She's slowly making her way through the pages. Unlike last time I saw her here, I quickly take a seat in a beanbag. The noise is enough to catch her attention, but not stall her. This delicate routine that must be followed each and every time I try to talk to her almost feels like a hunting game. Is that the same book as before? Yes, I'm almost finished. Cool. I wonder if I should. Do you mind if I borrow it when you finish? My mouth is faster than my mind, it seems. Sure. You may not like it, but I'm sure it can't be that bad. After all, you're stuck with it, haven't you? I guess. I settle into my beanbag and set about reading my own book that had been buried in my bag. It's a light novel about pirates. To be honest, I'm barely skimming over the words. I haven't chosen the book mainly because it belongs to a different genre than I usually read. Finding it hard to muster enough enthusiasm to finish the book, and noting that I inadvertently distracted Hanako quite a bit, I decided to try and make conversation. So, I see Lily left without you. She nods before taking her eyes off her book. She must have been really into it after all. Lily said she had to go and meet someone. Oh? Akira. Her sister. I think that's how you say that name. Akira? Yeah, Akira. Sister. I haven't heard her talk about her family. She and Akira used to live together. I thought all the students lived in the dorms. I mean, we don't have to. But it's easier, right? I mean, there's food here and you're close to the school. I don't think I ever been to class on time so often in my life. Her badly hidden smile proves quite rewarding. In the back of my mind, I know I have a bit of homework to catch up on, but it's quite comfortable in here. No one can find me and force me into working for the pet project either. Though now that I'm thinking about the festival, another question comes up. Hey Hanako, what are you doing for the festival? For a split second, I think Hanako is about to throw her book in the air from shock. Sorry? I was just asking, what are you doing for the festival tomorrow? Anything planned? I don't know. Hanako's answer in the way that people do when they don't want you to ask any more questions. I take it large crowds and loud music aren't really her thing. Oh, okay. Change the subject. Change the subject. Change the subject. So what's Lily's sister like? She's nice. She's pretty like Lily, but she dresses businesslike. Businesslike? She's always wearing a suit. Ah, I see. And that makes her less pretty somehow? Hanako gives an embarrassed shake of her head. No, just different. I admit it, this has got me intrigued to hear Hanako talk about someone other than Lily is a first, and to be complacent about it too. But as I try to picture this mystery sister, all I can think of is Lily in a suit, and I can't imagine that not being attractive. Not at all. Well, one day, you'll have to introduce her to me. Introduce me to her. Okay. Our brief conversation ends as abruptly as it started, and we both return to our novels. I think I selected Hanako's route. That's my bet. The passage of time is marked only by the grand movement of the patch of light crest through the window. Slowly, the noise from the various rehearsals in the building fade out and die as students start to get hungry and tired. Just thinking about that makes my stomach start to turn knots around itself. I think it's time to head back. Do you think Lily would be back by now? I think I might head back to my dorm. I'm pretty tired from this week. And not a word of that is a lie. Moving to another school as it ramps up for a major event has been taxing, to say the least. I can feel myself nodding off as I read my book. Okay, I might stay here a little longer. Looking at Hanako's book, I can see that she is only a few pages away from completing it. For a moment, I consider hanging around until she finishes, but once again, my stomach turns, emanating a growling sound. Sure thing. Well, I'm going to head off before it gets dark. I'll see you around, okay? Okay. See you, Hisa. Later. Hisa? Hmm? Thank you for hanging out with me. Oh, the blush! I can see how hard it was for her to get that simple sentence out of her mouth. It leaves me hanging for a moment. So there is someone in this school who is even lonelier than me. Maybe lonely is a wrong word. I haven't been lacking company for this first week, but I still manage to feel somewhat alone and detached. Maybe lonely is a wrong word for Hanako too. She has Lily after all, doesn't she? I realize I've been standing there far too long without answering, and pulled off a flawless, not too exaggerated smile. You're welcome. Good night, Hanako. Night. I leave her to finish her book and head back to the dorms and the promise of food. I think I started Hanako's route. I'm 99% sure. And from a comment earlier, I heard it's one of the best routes. The next day, I woke up feeling light. Yep. I don't know, I'm pretty hungry, so I thought I'd get some food first and then check out the attractions. Your class project seemed pretty cool, and I gave a hand with it, so I wanted to see at least that one and chat with Lily, I guess. Speaking of that, don't you have any obligation for the project? Are you out of your mind? That blind broad is up to no good. I could feel it in my spleen. Man, her presence is like a dark shadow that's in the way of my great vision. As expected of blind people. What? Besides, I thought that you were also... He holds up his hand to interrupt me. Only legally. Metaphysically, I can see farther than any man before me has seen. Kenji looks stoic into the metaphysical distance to emphasize his statement, thrusting his chin forward to look manlier. Actually, it's just a corridor wall 2 meters away, but it's all the same. I can see the future of mankind, and it's a dark one, unless the threat of woman is stifled. They are everywhere. He fingers his scarf nervously, faster and faster, like he's trying to start a fire. And slowly begins to... I read that. Sorry, I will stop skipping eventually. I just don't want to keep rereading lines I've read before. After buying a plastic plate of tayaka from a stall belonging to the class next to ours, I take a seat in the school gardens and watch people pass as I tentatively nibble away at the rather bland tasting item. I guess I shouldn't complain. It's better than nothing and didn't cost much. As I look out towards the school, watching the people coming and going proves a surprisingly entertaining way of passing the time as I eat. Little children, accompanied by parents or grandparents, scatter about in the dim from event to event, one hand dragging their company and the other hand bearing an oversized, careful snack. I can't help but notice the age range among the people here is skewed towards the elderly, something that I also noticed when I was walking around town. This must be one of those towns where the only people left are those that lived here their whole lives, and adamantly refused to leave, and those willing to live out the rest of their days in one of the increasingly few tranquil places. I guess that also goes a way to explaining how conservative Yamaku's school culture seems to be. Not that I mind one bit, I kinda like how calm Yamako and its surroundings are. The heat, though, is another matter entirely. Sitting in one place for so long has focused my mind on how annoyingly humid it's getting. And now that the hottest part of the day is here, I better get moving if I... Gah! The sound of the churning bells takes me completely by surprise as I stand up, a reaction shared by a few people strolling around as well. The PA system cracks to lift around the tolling bell ends. Its age shows as the principal makes a brief, ineligible announcement over it, officially opening the festival that's very much in full swing. It's quite amusing to contrast the pleasant smiles of the older folk against the Albertinian pen and board grimace of their younger chargers. The students, on the other hand, had to seem to pay it little heed. Needlessly, as the address finally ends, all are united in polite, if not overzealous applause, and then get back to business. Slipping my hand in my pocket to look as relaxed as possible, I casually glance around for something to do. It's somewhat difficult to see very far with all the people around. I decided to fall back on a tried and trusted rule. Go where everyone else seems to be gathering. Right now, that's the school courtyard and surroundings. Throwing the use plate into the trash can, I make my way towards the school building. Seeing the number of stalls around the perimeter of the school building surprised me. Quite a few of the classes must have opted to have multiple stalls. I decide which to visit first. I catch sight of a familiar banner with a blue pattern border and red text. Lily's stall is as good as a place to start as any. I'm curious as to how it's going after all of the work she and her class have been doing for it. Oh, this looks cool. Again, she's stepping up to it. I begin to see why the class took so long to organize everything. Easily twice as wide as many of the other student stalls, with equipment for cooking stew everywhere. It's closer to an outdoor restaurant than a festival event. As students in front of me take a bowl of noodles and leave, I walk up to the counter. The girl behind it seems quite exasperated and asks me to wait a moment before she disappears underneath the counter. Seizing the moment, I take a quick glance around. Steam seems to be rising from everywhere as pots and pans simmer away. The most blind of the students are unpacking ingredients while being helped by someone who is probably the teacher of 3-2. It doesn't take long to notice Lily among them, talking with the teacher as she quickly counts out the boxes and points and packages with her fingers. From her expression and the fact that both she and the teacher seem to be in a state of mild confusion, it appears that there's been some problem in coordination. Before I can stare any longer, the girl behind the counter pops up again, only to look back and ask where the spare change box is. Lily pauses for a moment before, and she and the girl switch places at the counter, and the teacher quickly walks off somewhere. Sorry about that. We're having a few problems. What would you like? It takes me a second to remember what I came here for. My eyes quickly dart to the side to read the menu standing on the counter. Oh, I guess some miso soup. Ah, is that his how? Yep, looks like you're pretty busy. Her face all but confirms it as she drops her waitress facade. Somewhere along the line, our order got mixed up. We're trying to fix it now, but it looks like we only have half of what we needed. Wouldn't serving smaller portions cover over the problem? It seems like that's what we'll have to do, though. I wish we didn't. The fact that a good half of our class is gone doesn't help either. I glanced behind her to see how many people are actually operating the stall. It couldn't be over about 8. I take it that's why your teacher left. That's right. She's going to try and round up a few more of her classmates to help. Hearing the sounds of footsteps behind me, I stealthily glanced backwards to see an elderly couple taking a place in the line. I guess I'd better stop loafing around and chatting. Here's the money for the soup. Soup? Oh, right. Coming right up. Lily turns and calls for 1 bowl of miso soup as I hand over the money for it. Taking the coins in the palm, I can't help but notice how efficiently she counts them out with her long, pale fingers. Even eventually satisfied that I handed over the correct change and puts it into a small metal tray. It isn't long before the soup is made and carefully handed to her, after which she turns and synchronously passes it to me. Thanks. I'll come back to drop off the bow. Thank you, Hisao. Oh, there's one other thing. Have you seen Hanako? Hanako? No, not today. Why? She gives a small sigh of a jarred disappointment. It's okay. I was just wondering what she was doing for the festival. You'll come back when you're done then. Sure, I'll keep an eye out for Hanako too. Thank you, Hisao. I walk off from the stall and find a seat carefully crowding the steam wood board in both hands. Compared to the dumplings from earlier, this is quite nice. A little cool compared to what it probably should be, perhaps, but the flavor is enough to cover for that reasonably well. As I drink, I can't help but feel somewhat guilty for not being as involved in the festival as the others. I can't really be helped considering when I was dropped into school only a week ago, but it still weighs heavily on my mind. That and the fact that a few students don't really seem to be enjoying the festival as much as the visitors. Eventually, I finish my bow and leave for the stall to drop it off. Considering that there seems to be no line at all, I take my time walking up. It seems the teacher mission paid off. There are now over a dozen students helping, and much of the unpacking has been done. Despite most of them seeming quite relaxed as they work, Lily still appears to be somewhat stressed. Lily doesn't look impressed at all, and I can't really blame her. On top of her issues with her stall, she still seems to be worried about Hanako. I can't really help with the former, so I guess the only way I can help is by trying to take her mind off our shy, neutral friend. Placing the bowl back on the counter, I called out to Lily. Hey Lily, don't worry about Hanako. I'll go find and hang out with her, okay? I can see Lily's relief plainly written across her face. Thanks, Hisao. And if you see anyone from my class, can you tell them to come back here, please? Will do. Have a good one. And make sure you take a break, okay? I will, if I can. See you later, Hisao. I leave Lily in the stall and head out in search of Hanako. In a way, I feel bad leaving her with the crowds, but even though she was clearly under pressure, I can't help but think that she is enjoying herself. The halls are packed with whopping crowd members middling throughout the festival. If there's one thing I know about Hanako, it's that she's not going to be anywhere near this. And with the students showing their friends and family their dorms, I doubt she'll be there either. Following a blind intuition, I move across the grind of the crowd. Thankfully, this crowd seems to be slightly less festive than your usual festive crowd. I assume this is out of consideration for the student body. As I force my way through the mess, it doesn't take long for them to thin down into nothingness. This is not surprising, since I am standing before the library. Even the most eager of the students don't even bother to show anyone this section of the school. As I enter the library, the noise of the festival fades into a dull background noise, and soon I am in the reading area at the rear of the room. Behind one of the partially partitioned desks, I see the top of the head with straight black hair catching my eye. Hey Hanako, I had a feeling I'll find you here. The head jumps a little in shock before slowly peering over the parchment. Hisao? Hey, Lily's pretty busy, so she sent me to find you. Oh, Do you want to sit down? Actually, I'm feeling a little hungry. Would you like to get something to eat from one of the stands? Uh, um, I brought some food, so I shouldn't be surprised, but it was worth a try. Expecting her to go outside today was a long shot. How about we eat in the tea room? I passed it by and on the way here and no one was around. We can make some food there, and it'll be a little more comfortable. What do you say? Sure, let's go. Hanako closes her book and puts it away with deliberate practice movements. Good to go? Yeah. We walk side by side from the library to the tea room. As expected, there's barely a soul around. If it weren't for the murmurs through the walls, you wouldn't tell that there was a huge festival going on outside. Hanako carries her bag in both hands and focuses on just the floor ahead of her. Every now and again, she seems to break her pace a little and steps in slightly shorter pace. The first time it happened, I gave it no mind, but I soon noticed that she does it on a regular basis. Are you alright? She stops dead in her tracks. What? I don't know. It looked like you were tripping or something. A pink blush rises in her cheeks as her gaze returns to the floor. It's nothing. You know when you say nothing like that, people are inspired to ask further questions. For a second, I don't think she is going to answer. Prepared to leave it be, I almost set off walking again when... It's a game. Game. Do you see the floor here? What a bizarre question. The floor just looks like any floor covered in those tiles made up from squares of lonini. Nothing noteworthy. Well, yes, what about it? Sometimes when there's no one around, I only step on the darker ones. Hanako's voice trails off as her explanation continues, until I can barely hear her voice over the roaring silence of the empty hallway. Darker ones? Shuffling her feet, Hanako points to the toes of her shoes at a tile that is barely a shade darker than the others. Like these ones. Alright, so these ones are no good. I point out a nearby tile. Yeah, something like that. Oh, I see. Do you play this game a lot? Hanako shakes her head. Just when the halls are empty? She nods. Well then, no point in stopping. I'm beginning to get really hungry. She nods again, this time with a little more enthusiasm. Well then, let's go. We set off down the hall, and this time I noticed that Hanako is paying a little less attention to the floor. I wonder, just how lonely does someone have to be to come up with a game like that? But before I realize what I'm doing, I find myself trying to aim each step so it lands on the correct tiles. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I have to end it here. I told you in the last part that these are going to be a little shorter yesterday's and today's. So I have to end it here, I'm sorry. But on Monday, it's all going to be back to the hour-long episode for this. I feel like I'm 100% on Hanako's route now. I don't mind. All I know is I'm doing Lily's route last, if I can. Because I heard it is the #1 best route from one of my friends. This has been a Visual Novel Gamer. I hope you like, comment, subscribe, tell me how you like the game so far, and that's all. Just have a great day. See you all next time. Peace.